It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, leave a rating, leave a review, all those things. It helps us out a lot, helps us go up in the rankings, reach more people, and everything. I'm so excited about this episode today. We got a friend of the show, our man Mark Jones II.
My brother.
My man was on episode 16. 2 years ago. 16. I looked
how many
today.
episodes? What episode is this? How many episodes?
This will be 150 something. Yeah. It's crazy.
Early adopter.
I remember you reached out to me. You DM me on Instagram. You're like, yo, like, this is what I'm doing. Like,
Right.
you know, house hacking, and
Right.
this is what I'm planning to do. Let's get on the show.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
You actually posted something. You said, who should I interview next on the podcast?
Yeah.
And I commented underneath me. And then I DM'd you.
Yeah.
And you were the first podcast I got on after I started, I've been in real estate for a while, investing, but like kind of doing the house hacking and the living rent free kind of journey.
Yeah.
You were the first one that I reached out to and interviewed me, man, and gave me that platform. And the rest is history from there. So thank you for that, man.
Oh, yeah, of course.
For real, thank you.
Of course. And you've blown up, I mean, if you don't know living rent free, you don't know Mark, you probably living under a rock. But yeah, I mean, Mark is the go-to for living rent free, NACA, house hacking, all those things. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about this episode because you recently made a big splash. Specifically, you just bought 11 units in Pittsburgh.
I had to expand, man.
Yeah.
I had to expand. LA's prices, I'm an LA native. I love LA. The equity, the appreciation's unparalleled. But I was looking for some cash flow, some early retirement, financial independence, early retirement, retire early, I should say, moves.
Yeah.
And to set myself up to be like work optional, my future family, work optional, to be able to live off cash flow, all that. So yeah, I had to expand, man. Go out of the state. I almost said country.
It's almost like out the country, man. But we're definitely gonna dig into that. So we've had so many guests. I don't think we've had anybody who invests in Pittsburgh.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, like I've been to Pittsburgh once. Like my college was in Western New York, near Buffalo. So Pittsburgh was like a few hours drive away. So we went, had a great time. Like a lot of great history there. Like we did all the sites. It was cool. Pittsburgh is a cool city. Never thought about it really since then. This is like over 10 years ago. So why Pittsburgh? What was it about Pittsburgh that you felt was like a good market to make that next investment?
To be honest with you, man, it's like you have to look at, when you're a real estate investor, you have to look at your goals, right? And you have to look at your goals in your life holistically. So Pittsburgh is not the greatest for appreciation. In fact, some people will argue, like, listen to this, and I'm always transparent, straight up, man. I just keep it straight up. But they're like, hey, that's a city that has negative population growth. That's against everything they say in Bigger Pockets, in the podcasts, in the videos, in the books. And sometimes life is like three-dimensional. Not sometimes. Life is always three-dimensional. And so it's never two-dimensional. It's like multifaceted, right? And so I saw it as, I have my LA property that's appreciated $400,000 in only a few years. I have my appreciation play. That's solid. That's stable. I need cash flow.
Yeah.
There's still going to be people living in Pittsburgh. University of Pittsburgh is doing a lot of amazing things in medicine, tech. It's a growing industry. There's a University of Pittsburgh, and there's people that work there that need housing, and live there that need housing. And so when they say it's a dwindling city or going down, it's not like a Detroit back when Ford left and those companies left. But one of the main reasons, man, is I had a mentor by the name of Juan Pablo that I'm connected with through YouTube from years ago. And I reached out to him. He owns like over 100 units out there.
Oh, snap.
And so he helped me quarterback the deal and go out of state and find the property and get it under contract and negotiate and all that. So that was one of the main drivers and motivators, man, was the mentorship and the old relationship I had from years ago.
Yeah.
So that's my long answer to a short question.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's dope. So they got University of Pittsburgh. I think Carnegie Mellon's out there.
Carnegie Mellon as well. Yep.
Got it. There's I think, if I'm not mistaken, Duolingo. You ever heard of that app?
I have. Yeah, that's a huge
Duolingo.
app.
I think they're based out there.
Really?
Yeah. I think the guy might have went to Carnegie Mellon or something like that. But pretty sure their HQ is in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
You
Hablo un
got the
poco
Steelers.
español. You got the Steelers, yeah.
I mean, a lot of history. I mean,
The steel mills, all that stuff. Yeah, a lot
I'll
of
show you
history.
pictures. Like it was like we went on the incline. We did a whole bunch of stuff.
Nice,
But
nice.
Pittsburgh is a cool city. So what? So all right. So you have the colleges. You have different things. Like, were there any other drivers? Was it like the population, like the workers? Like, are there blue collar workers? Like, were there any of those things you looked into?
One thing that I looked into that was really intriguing is like the stability of the Pittsburgh market. So like during 2008 and post that, like in the Great Recession during the mortgage crisis, the prices actually stayed pretty stable in Pittsburgh. And that's something that stability is something you want to see as a real estate investor.
Yeah.
Yes, appreciation is good and the growth is good, but remember what I said, it's a holistic view. It's a 360, the three-dimensional kind of view. And in my eyes, I'm like, I already have the appreciation strong in LA.
Yeah.
So if I can have something stable with a little growth, that's a thumbs up.
Yeah.
But the rent growth was continuing, it has like good rent growth, and appreciation was just solid during recessions. And the reason is that they have some pretty they have like diverse employment sources there.
Yeah.
And it's like the medical industry, like I said. They have like some tourism industry. They have like still like factories and industrial kind of stuff there because of that long history.
Right.
And so when you have all of that balancing it, those factors balancing each other out, it's more stability. You know what I mean? And so that was a major factor. But my tenants and where I purchase, it's like blue collar, bro. It's just blue collar workers that get up every day, go to work. One, I have tenants that are photographers that work for the city of Pittsburgh. Some of them. And so just simple. Going there was like not going in a time machine, but I'm from LA, bro. I've been to DC, been to Miami, Orlando, big cities.
Yeah.
How slow everything is, how friendly everyone is. It's like country style almost,
Yeah.
but it's not country. It's like a city. Even the well-to-do people, they're not like snobby and snooty like it is in LA, in some parts of LA, I should say, or some parts in Manhattan or whatever, right? So, yeah, bro, it's just interesting, man. I was like visiting another world, man, going out there and investing. So
that was gonna be my next question. What was the visit like? What was it like going out there and visiting? And when you visited, what were you looking for? Were you trying to get a feel, or were you like a checklist? Like, I want to see how this looks, this neighborhood. Like, walk us through that.
Honestly, man, and like I said, I'm keeping it real with you. I'm simple, man. I'm a simple kind of guy.
Yeah.
I like to go on my gut. There's people who have all these charts and all these rules and all these checklists, and I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm like, all right, is the market stable? Do the tenants pay on time? Is there rent growth coming in? Are there jobs? Are there jobs, and are there a diverse set of jobs? But when I first went out there, bro, I got a 9-unit under contract. So I went to the southwestern side. It's kind of like southeastern side, actually. I forgot what it was called, actually. But it was the southern part of Pittsburgh to see a 9-unit that I got under contract. It was a 6-unit building and a triplex. The triplex was flipped, and the 6-unit was in like horrible condition. But I went out there to get a feel for the neighborhood, bro. So I walked the streets in the neighborhood. Another thing I didn't know was there's so many black people in Pittsburgh. Like, most of my tenants are black. Like, there's some white. I have like white tenants too, but most of my tenants are black and white. But I just walked the neighborhoods, man. I went to the soul food restaurant. I went into the Dollar Tree. I asked questions. I saw how people kind of like approached me or looked at me and treated me and stuff. I went to the restaurants just to get a feel, man, for the neighborhood. Checked it out at night, the nighttime scene. And so I was looking for like safety, comfort, growth, right? So when I went out there in the southern part, there's a larger gay population, LGBTQ population, and they were moving to the southern part of Pittsburgh and gentrifying it. And so starting like coffee shops, and I was like having conversations with them, and the brothers have like, colored nails and all that. And I kind of picked up on everything, and the trans flag and the LGBTQ flag and the rainbow flag and all that. And I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm just paying attention, and they're like, they're moving here, and they're coming and spreading from this gentrified kind of area where the University of Pittsburgh students kick it. They're south of that and expanding. So I said, okay, that's growth. But I couldn't find that online, bro.
Yeah.
That's the difference, is going there and hitting the concrete and seeing what's really happening here. You know what I mean? And I went, and I also saw that the neighborhoods were too hood by that 9-unit. It was a little too hood for me.
Yeah.
So it was a huge cop presence, people drinking 40 ounces with wife beaters on. I said, you know what, this is the area I want to invest in, right? The gentrification is happening, but not in the speed and the way that I like it. So when I went again, when I got the 11 unit portfolio under contract, actually I didn't wait till I went again. I backed out of that 9 unit deal because I drove the portfolio deal. So it's like in different neighborhoods because it's a portfolio of 4 properties. Man, it was just blue collar. It was people from Sweden, like random people from Norway, you know what I mean? Norwegian people. And they just own homes there, but they're just humble workers. And he's just like walking down the street. I'm like, hey, where are you going? You know, my name's Mark. I'm thinking about investing over here. He's like, I'm walking to the library. It's like a Saturday. Like, you going to the library? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So that's a sign. Like, that's a beautiful thing to do, just walk to the library. And he's a humble guy. He's not like rich or wealthy. He's just a working guy that wants to go read at the library. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't people drinking 40 ounces. It was close to the waterfront. Even the other properties from my apartment building is 6 unit. So people going to the laundromat, washing their clothes on a Saturday. They're just living life, bro. Yeah. Even though it's a humble blue collar life, it's just a simple life. So that was a lot better, man. It wasn't people playing craps or drinking alcohol on the street. Yeah. So I was looking for stuff like that, man. Yeah. Nothing fancy. I didn't have any Excel sheets or I did have Excel sheets for like the numbers, like pro forma, but not like looking at jobs and assessing stuff. Yeah, I'm a people person, man. So I just walked in and started talking to people at the different stores and stuff like that. Yeah. So
no, I hear you regarding like getting a feel. Like when I started investing, I did the same thing. Like I went out and visited, just kind of drove around, like
in
saw
Ohio, right?
Development. Yeah, just like just kind of get a feel. To your point too, just kind of see what's going on, see what the deal is, and you'd be surprised. Like if you're able to visit your out of state market where you're trying to invest in. Spend a couple days there, it could show you a lot. You know, it could show you a lot. And, you know, you may not necessarily have to keep going back, but that first time usually could, you know, give you a feel of things. So you mentioned, so, you know, it's like your first out-of-state investment was a portfolio. You usually might see somebody get like a duplex or a single family. Why did you decide to go with the 11 units versus like getting a single family home or getting like a duplex or starting small? What made you want to go big?
I mean, the thing, man, is, you know, I teach people to buy multifamily with my brand Living Rent Free. You get the more the merrier, right? So with the income, you multiply with the units, number of units, you multiply your income. With the number of doors, you multiply your cash flow. It's more stability. So if one tenant's not paying, you still have 4 other tenants, 5 other tenants, 3 other tenants that can pay. You say that some people say, okay, the maintenance increases, but it's underneath one roof, right? And so you're just maintaining that existing property. The real reason, bro, why I went big, if I'm just being honest, like I said, keep it 100, is I have a vision of scaling and raising money on a large scale, buying apartment buildings and helping passive investors make money. And so I said, okay, let me put up my own dough to do the experiment and show I have what it takes to buy apartment buildings and scale at that level and be successful at that level. And the other thing I want to say is commercial properties are really important in their distinction, and they're different from like smaller single family and how they're valued. Single families are valued based on residential comps in the area. You know this, but residential comps in the area and residential sales. Commercial buildings, specifically multifamily, are valued based on the net operating income and the cap rate, right? So if you can improve the net operating income or or lower the operating expenses, raise the rents, improve the value, you can actually create equity out of thin air. And when I say equity out of thin air, depending on the value of the property, you could create anywhere between 100,000, 500,000, 700,000 in value, because there's value like a business. If your business is making more cash flow, people are going to want to pay more, right? It's a multiple of the cash flow. So now I can control the value of the property. I don't have, it's not based on what other apartment owners are selling. It's based on how well I'm operating my property and running it. So those are some of the reasons, man. And you could cash out, refinance, sell the property at a profit. And so there's like way more depreciation and tax benefits you can do, cost segregation studies. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to make money and save money with multifamily. So that's why I went big, man. Go hard or go home. So that's how I had to do it, bro. Yeah.
Definitely. So commercial is above 4 units, right?
5 units plus is commercial. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then can you explain cap rate and net operating income?
Yeah, so net operating NOI is net operating income. So when you're analyzing a property, it's like you start off with the gross revenue and then you subtract all the expenses. And this is before debt service. So cash flow is after debt service. So say you start off with the gross rents of 10,000. You subtract for like your vacancy factor, you subtract for expenses, repairs, maintenance, insurance, utilities, and you get down to the net operating income. So you say you get down to 5,000 a month. Typically, your expenses are like 50% of the gross revenue, right? So that's called the net operating income. And cap rate is it's kind of difficult to like explain. It's like a I don't want to say amoebus concept, but it's like a nebulous concept. It's like strange, but it's a way of valuing an asset. So what you do is you take the net operating income, say it's 100,000, and you divide that by the value of the property. And so say the property is $1 million, and the net operating income is 100,000. The cap rate is 10%. But what happens is that the reason why I say it's amoebus and it's kind of nebulous and stuff is because the cap rate is produced by how frequent these type of sales are done in the market. So what I mean to say is, say there's a few sales of apartment buildings at $1 million. Some of them have a net operating income of 90,000 a year. Some of them have 95,000. Some of them have 100,000. So if you divide 90 over 100, that's 9% cap rate. If you do, 90 over $1 million, that's 9% cap rate. If you do 100 over $1 million, that's 10% cap rate. So what happens is over time, you get an average cap rate for the market. So say there's 100 sales in a year, you get an average of, okay, in this area, the cap rate is this number. But what happens is that in nicer neighborhoods like Beverly Hills, west side of LA, Manhattan, you get lower net operating income and higher values. So less cash flow, but it costs more because of the stability of the tenant base.
Right.
So it's coveted. They're called Class A markets. So in Class A markets, you'll see cap rates of 4% or cap rate of 4. It's called 4% or 4, but or 3.5. And what that means is for $1 million, it sounds crazy, but you spend $1 million and you get net operating income of 45,000 per million or 30,000 per million, and people are like, "What? That's crazy. It's nothing."
Yeah.
But you have Whole Foods tenants. You have like a bulletproof. It's like if you could buy a property, somewhere in Santa Monica or somewhere in Beverly Hills. It's like a legacy asset.
Yeah.
You're bulletproof. You don't have to worry about. This is where the Kardashians and people live. This is where Beyonce and them want to live. This is where Bel Air. You know what I mean? This is the top of the market, and so the I guess blue collar workers or blue collar markets, Class C, are like 8 cap, 9 cap, and then going up to 10 cap is starting to where you're getting towards like Class D markets, and you get more cash flow, but you have riskier tenant base.
Gotcha.
And so I'm sorry that was like that took a lot of time because cap rate is a real complex concept. And when I first tried to study it and understand it, it was like, okay, how do you back into the cap rate? And then you how do you understand the cap rate? Because it's not like you could just look at a building and say, okay, this is the cap rate. It's based on the other properties in the market, and then also the cap rates change with time. So since the values are going down now, the cap rates are going up and changing it. So it's just complex.
It sounds complex.
It's a little complex. I tried to make it simple. It's the net operating income over the value, the sale price, I should say.
Yeah.
But it changes based on the sales.
Got it.
And it's just interesting, man.
Got it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So at a basic level, the cap rate is net operating income over the sales price.
That's it.
For your okay. So if I bought a property for, I don't know, 100,000, net operating income is 10,000. It's 10,000 divided by 100,000.
Yep.
That's okay. Cool. What's considered a good cap rate?
Sorry. So you want to aim for cap. It depends on what you're looking for. That's why I say it's complex.
Oh yeah.
So if you're looking
Depending on
for
asset
Class B, you may be looking, in the I would say over 5 is a good cap rate.
Gotcha.
But you want to sell, when your cap rate is at a lower level. You don't necessarily want to buy it. You want to improve the asset. or sell when it's at a higher level. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you buy it lower and then sell it at a higher level.
Yeah.
Because you're improving the cash flow or the net operating income.
Right.
So you go from the 45,000 to the 90,000,
Right,
and then
right,
that
right.
goes from the 4 to the 9, 9 cap rate. But it's more complex than that because you're not gonna find a 9. Like you're not gonna move a 4 in Beverly Hills to a 9.
Yeah.
It'll go from like a 4 to like a 5.
Gotcha.
It'll just move a little bit, but that's huge in those markets. It's like
Yeah.
wow, extra, percentage.
Yeah.
Because if you divide out and like I said, it gets complex, man.
No, you're good.
But yeah, but the change from 4 to 5 is like really significant.
Got it.
And so it's like a huge jump, or 3.5 to a 5 is like a huge jump.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't see it going from like a 3 to like a 9 in Beverly Hills. That's like crazy. But yeah, so sorry, that's like
No, we might have to do an episode on that. It sounds like something that we need to know as people grow in scale. It's people grow in scale into the commercial side of things. It's something that we need to know about. So
yeah, they have whole
definitely-
chapters in evaluation. There's whole like sections on cap rate
Wow.
and how to break it down and examples and
Right,
all that.
right.
So it's hard to just explain it like super
Yeah.
simply. Yeah, but
Makes sense. So let's talk about the deal. So 11 units. I think when we were talking yesterday, did you say like 380-ish was like the price? Was that right?
So no, there was a 6 unit for 350,
Gotcha.
a 3 unit for 150, a duplex for 80. There was another triplex that didn't work out for 150. So it was 14 units. And initially I was trying to take down.
Yeah.
But at the end we finished with 11 units. So I think
What is that like?
like six
something?
600. I think it was around like 600, a little bit under 600 in total. Because originally it was like 725 or 750, but minus in that 150 property
Right.
is like goes down to 600. So total was like around 600.
Gotcha.
In total. Yeah.
Yo, you know what's crazy about that? I'm thinking about, I mean, obviously we're in LA, right?
What can you get for 600?
600,000, you could probably get what?
Single
backyard?
family, it's a single family like in the hood.
Yeah.
Not in like nice areas, bro. Not
Yeah.
even like South Central, Inglewood adjacent.
Yeah.
I'm talking like deeper in the hood.
Right.
Yeah, or a fixer upper in like South Central,
Yeah.
Inglewood adjacent. Yeah. When I say fixer upper, I mean a beater, like a fixer upper.
Yeah, like
for
falling
600.
apart.
Falling apart. Yeah.
Like
600.
unsafe to live in.
Yeah, unsafe to live in. Uninhabitable, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, uninhabitable. Yeah, inhabitable. I can't remember what it
Man,
is.
that's crazy. So 600 or so for those 11 units. Walk us through how did you find the deal? Did you find it on the MLS?
I found
Was
it
off
on
market.
So I found it on LoopNet, which is where you
LoopNet.
find like commercial properties. You know what I mean? That's where you find like office, industrial, apartment buildings, all that. You'll find them on LoopNet. And I don't know if somebody sent it to me. I don't think my broker sent it to me. I was just up late, man. I was searching for deals daily, bro. Like trying to find deals that cash flow where I wanted them to cash flow. And so I found it on LoopNet. It was 14 units. And it was kind of biting off more than I wanted to kind of chew a little bit, because I wanted to get between 6 and like 10 or 6 and 12, 6 and 10. So I guess it was kind of within range. It was 14. But I had to come up with that 20 to 25%. So that's like 10 is 75. That's like 150 plus
150 down.
yeah,
plus closing.
plus closing costs. So you're looking at like 200, you know what I mean, 200 cash. And so I'm like, it's kind of like a stretch for the portfolio. But what I realized is that if I got the all 14 and I got it right in terms of the cash flow and the cash on cash return, I would be near early retirement. I'd be halfway to early retirement with just that one fell swoop, that one play.
Yeah.
I said, well, why not just do a one fell swoop and be
Yeah.
halfway to where my goal of early retirement, because everybody has their own number. And so, yeah, bro, I went for it to try to take
Yeah.
it down, man.
Wow. So 150, 200,000 ish with closing costs and all that.
Yeah.
Where are we getting the money from? Because I mean, you know.
So okay, so look,
I ain't got it, man.
you got it. This is Black Real Estate Dialogue. So look, man, I'm looking into the camera. I'm gonna be straight with y'all. No, so I mean, this the thing, man. It's like I was on a podcast in Dallas. We were talking about our brothers, Black Wealth Renaissance, and I was talking about the importance of stacking your money and living frugally. So my first ever deal, I had to put down like $6,000. I was saving up as much as I could. I was like in my early 20s, not spending money. Used the seller's closing costs. I mean, I asked the seller to pay the closing costs, and I was just like being real frugal, bro, to get by and make it happen. And so I think what people have to understand is like living beneath your means. And so I was doing really well in my business, living rent free, teaching people how to buy multifamily properties, also helping people buy and sell properties in LA.
Right.
But I was only living on 30% of my income. I was saving 70% of my income with the goal, knowing that eventually, bro, I'm going to get into the multifamily investing. And so, yeah, bro, I just was stacking everything. And this is beyond the statute of limitations, but this is like just between you and I mean, it's going to be on the podcast. But something I did was I utilized a HELOC, bro. I utilized a HELOC. So the property went up in value. My triplex in LA went up in value. Like I said, the 400 grand. And I was able to get a HELOC for just under $100,000.
Gotcha.
And so the HELOC, you got to be careful with the HELOC and leveraging. You don't want to over leverage. And the HELOC, for anybody that's listening, is a home equity line of credit. And so what they do is they create a lien against the equity in your property, and they'll allow you to take out money in the form of the home equity line of credit. And so it's like a cash credit line. Or you can write checks from it. You can do home repairs, renovations, etc. But I was able to get out like almost 200 grand. But remember what I said about the over leveraging. You don't want to be too deep in the over leverage because you have to make those payments back.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay, they could foreclose on your home. Yeah. So you don't want to lose the asset. So I just took out like 85, like a little under 100. And the rest came from just like me stacking, bro.
Yeah.
I think I did use another cash credit line, which we'll talk about when I got into some trouble in the deal. At the end of the deal, and I had to bring more money to the table. Yeah. But it was a combination of cash credit lines and cash out of pocket from stacking, bro, from working hard and stacking.
Right.
So yeah.
Right, man. I think it's important for people to realize and understand that, because I mean, obviously you have the online business, like teaching, you have, being a real estate agent, and then you also leverage an asset you already had, right? So
do whatever it takes.
Right. But I mean, it shows the importance of like really turning over every stone and using all the resources that you have available to you and understanding all of those things. So you spoke about having to bring more money to the table at the end of the deal. What happened?
Man, so it was crazy because like the deal went not sideways, but like a lot was happening when I was in under contract, right? It was like I was going, it was like the economy was shifting. So we started off with 2% interest rates in the beginning of 2022.
That was a crazy time.
3% interest rates, right? It was a 2021, 2022, whatever. Yeah. But started off with these low interest rates. But I went under contract in July, didn't get out till Thanksgiving. So that's like 4 or 5 months. And the rate shifted. And so what was happening was when the rates were shifting and going up, one, my money that I'm borrowing is becoming more expensive. The mortgages on my properties are going up, so my cash flow, my net operating income, that's going down, my returns. But two, banks are becoming more wary about offering loans. And they're careful because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know. We're moving from good times to hard times. So people before were able to pay their mortgages, no problem. So now they're more reluctant to give out loans, bro. So I had 4 properties under contract because it was a portfolio, 14 units. One ran into an issue of fire safety code violations, which we talked about yesterday on the phone. And so that one, it was a triplex. We didn't end up closing on that one. But in the middle of the deal, my lenders kept telling me that they can find a loan on the duplex. It was a duplex for 80 grand. But a lot of lenders don't want to lend on anything for under 100,000. I don't know the exact reasons, but they like to have things in the portfolio for a little bit more. And the reason is I guess I do know a reason, but they're concerned that there won't be enough appraisal value. And so for assets under 100,000, they think, okay, is this thing worth 50,000? Is this thing worth 20,000? Is it worth 60,000? Like, it doesn't really hold a lot of weight and value. And so the lenders weren't trying to lend on it, bro. They weren't trying to lend on it. And it was the final hour, the 11th hour, and my guy that I was buying the property from, the seller, he said he wanted to sell all of the properties. And so if I were not to buy the duplex, I was afraid he was going to just walk away from the deal. And so I had to figure out at the last minute to use one of my cash credit lines that I have. And I usually don't teach about cash credit lines and stuff like that because I don't want people to get in over their head with the high interest rates and stuff like that. But basically, it's available credit that comes with the interest rate, and you could just write a check from it. You could do a wire transfer from the credit line. And so I needed 60 grand. I brought 20 grand to the table already, cash. And then I needed 60 grand. And so I just went to the bank and took 60 grand from the cash credit line, put it in my, checking account, wired it over, and closed with cash with the plan of refinancing later on. Once I get the asset stable, it's cash flowing. I have a relationship with the credit union from the other deal that I closed, or the other property I closed. And then I say, hey, look, we've been performing on this thing for 6 months. We have a tenant in there. I perform on the other one. I'm paying the mortgage on this 6 unit that we have under contract, or that we have, a mortgage on, that you put a mortgage on. Let's refinance this, and you guys pick it up. So I paid cash, refinance, bro. But I was so stressed.
Oh, you were able to refinance.
Say it again.
You were able to refinance.
Oh, not refinance. Paid cash and close. Sorry, I didn't refinance. My bad. The reason why I said refinance is that I had 2 cash credit lines. So this is a play, a gem, which is useful. You guys could use. I had 2 cash credit lines. One that had 18% interest rate, but it was open, available cash credit line, closed cash on the deal at the final hour. And then the next thing I did was I did a balance transfer from one cash credit line to the next. And the other one had a promotion, 0% interest for 18 months. So my payment on the 60,000 at 18% was going to be like $1,800 a month.
Wow.
Which is insane. It's like those people who get the car for like 34% interest. So it's like super high. So I'm like, I can't sustain this. This is insane. So transferred over, and now I think it's like 400 or something like that. It's 0% interest, but it is interest. They just say 0% interest. So, yeah, bro, I like cut it. Like that's like what, a sixth, a fifth or something of the amount like a fifth, 4.5. And so that's why I said refinance. My bad.
No, you're good.
But my plan is to refinance it in a few months, probably like 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Yeah.
Got you. So ideally, the cash flow and all that stuff can help you cover, obviously, the mortgage, the payment for that, until you're able to refinance and do all those things, or reserves.
So I'll give you a little bit of numbers on that one. That's a good deal. So one of the units I'm going to be written for like $1,100. The other one is currently written for $700, but I'm going to increase it by like $100 with Section 8. I'm going to request the increase. Or I may be able to get it up 200, but right now we're going to request an increase for like 100. So that's like almost $2,000. The expenses are like half of that, or a little bit less than half of that. So they're like 1,000. It's actually less than that. I think it's like 700 of my expenses. And then you add the payment of 500. Yeah. So that's like 1,200. And then, total rents are pushing 1,800, 1,900, 2,000. So you cash flowing like $500.
Right.
And that's at the high interest rate. So when I refinance it, the mortgage will be, it'll be close to that actually. It'll be like 400 or 600 a month, man. So that was a pretty good deal, cash flowing at like 500, 600 a month. And that's like real conservative numbers. So when I say all the expenses are like 700, that's including like almost like 20% for like CapEx, and repairs and maintenance, which the property doesn't always have those repairs every month, those maintenance issues. So some of that money you can actually pocket. But we could talk about all the repairs and problems that happen as soon as I close. But you do end up using those repairs and reserves, capital expenditures. So make sure you have your money set aside, because we talked about that, bro. It was hell. Yeah. It was hell dealing with all the roof caving in on one unit, the toilet clog on the next unit. But I had those reserves that I conservatively put aside, and we made use of the reserves. Yeah. Put them to use. Sorry.
No, you're good. We definitely get into that. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is just like the mortgages. So, did you have to get different mortgages on each property, or was it like a portfolio loan? Because I know one of them is a commercial unit, and so you have the 6 unit, which is commercial. You have the triplex and a duplex, which are residential. How does that work with like getting mortgages? Is it different for each property, or is it like a portfolio? How does that work?
Bro, let me tell you, that's good. That's a good question. So I didn't know you were going to ask that question. Yeah, no, so that was a little curveball, but it's good information. So this is the thing, man. That's why I like to keep it straight up, because you hear so much in courses, and I have a course, but I keep it thorough in the course. Yeah. books, podcasts. But when you're in it, bro, when you're in the mix, it's different. So everyone says, oh, like for example, people were telling me, oh, it's a portfolio. You can get a portfolio loan. But when you're actually in the field, they're like, oh yeah, you can get a portfolio loan, but we only do it on $1 million. We only do it over 750,000 or 800,000 or whatever the number is. We haven't worked with you before. Just so many different reasons and rhymes for why they don't give the portfolio loans. So I wasn't able to get the portfolio loan. I think it was too small of a loan. The other thing was, I think the interest rate was going to be higher on a portfolio loan.
Wow.
The commercial loans, they do offer different products, loan products for commercial products. So you can get lower interest rates. You can get something called adjustable rate mortgages. You can get balloon payment mortgages. You can get so many other loan products for the commercial. For the residential, it's cool because you can get a longer payment term period. So you can get 30 years. With commercial, it's always like 20 to 25 years. So there is a difference, bro. And when you do the multifamily but residential and you get 30-year term, your payments are going to be lower because you're spreading it out, right? Also, the caveat though with commercials, you sometimes can get lower interest rates, but it may be like a 5-year term, and then you gotta gamble kind of like, okay, what about in 5 years when it's due? What if the interest rates are double what they are now, or if they go up? So I'm going into it hoping and praying that the interest rate environment gets better, but will it actually get better? You know what I mean? That's the thing. So I had to get different loans, man. I don't know. Should I tell about the drama that went into the lones?
Let's
Do you
talk
want to
about
ask
it.
questions?
Let's
Yeah.
talk
Okay.
about it.
So we talked about this a little bit last night, but it was a fiasco. So first I found someone on Twitter. Twitter is the best social media app out there if you're looking for resources and networking, right? So
Shout
I
out
highly
to
recommend it.
Elon.
It's a firestorm dealing with Elon. But just the people, not Elon, but the people on Twitter, so much value, bro. Like it's just insane, and it's free, right? So I met someone. Her name is Levon Idalet. Yeah, Levon Idalet. So she helped me get qualified, right? Her and her dad own Reddish Bull finance or mortgages, and so they got me like qualified. They got me qualified on the 6 unit. They got me qualified on the triplex, and they got me qualified on the second triplex. Right? It was smooth. It was straightforward. It was an easy process, and towards the end, they kept saying that they were going to get me qualified for the duplex. They were like, I'm going to find someone. We're going to make it work, whatever. I had a lot of faith in them because how fast they got me pre-approved for all the other stuff. And they were thinking about doing the appraisal, but a lot of times they just like wait towards the end and make sure that you get through the due diligence process, because you may walk away from the due diligence process. So why pay for the appraisal in advance, like $1,000 each property or $800 each property or whatever it is? So they're like, just handle your due diligence stuff, handle your inspections, and then once that's all good, we'll move forward. But this deal took like over 90 days. Like I said, it took 4 to 5 months. And so the rates were locked in for a period. I think it was like for like a month, but it wasn't locked in for, the whole time. Mm-hmm. So remember, we're in July and the rates are rapidly going up. So I tap in with them towards like September, I think. And he's like, oh, I know I told you like, high 5s, low 6s, but it's going to be like 7. It's jumping up to like 7, maybe even over 7. And he's a straight shooter, the father. And I'm like, nah, that's killing my numbers. And so I started shopping around, looking at other mortgage brokers and credit unions. It was actually mortgage brokers, not credit unions, because mortgage brokers brought me the credit unions. But find a mortgage broker, local mortgage broker out in Pittsburgh, and he lies to me, bro. He does the bait and switch. So he tells me, oh yeah, I can get you 5.2. I can get you 5.7 at most. And I say, hey man, you need to be honest with me. Are you telling me the truth? Because I'm going to jump ship and leave my lender and work with you if it's 5.2, 5.7. Like that's incredible. That's going to save my numbers. And I said, we can extend it 30 days. Can you close? Can you make it happen in 30 days? Because we're only getting one extension. We only get one shot at this. I got you, man. No problem. So it was kind of like a family affair with the Idolets, because it is a family. They're a family, but it's brother and sister. It's a family thing. It's a black-owned business. We have built a relationship over Twitter. So I was like, had loyalty to them, and they looked out for me. And it's a small deal. They do like multi-million-dollar deals.
Yeah.
So they're like taking time out to do it for me. And so I had to apologize. I was like, I'm sorry. I have to jump ship, switch over because this guy's offering me lower rates. He's like, whatever's good for your business, I support you. So I switch over, bro. And he comes back and tells me, oh no, I have to give you a 7 rate. The new guy.
Once you switched over.
When I switched over. So he did the bait and switch. He did give me the 575 for the commercial.
Yeah.
He gave me the 575 for the commercial. So I was like, all right, cool. Shook his hand on that. And then he started working on the other two, the triplex and the 2 triplexes. And he's like, oh yeah, that's going to be a 67772 maybe. I'm like, bro, you told me it was 5.2, 5.7. What are you talking about? He said, oh, I was only talking about the commercial. I didn't know you were wanting me to do the other ones. I said, I sent you all the paperwork. I sent you the addresses. I gave you everything. Gave you the due diligence docs, all that. So dude did the bait and switch. I'm like, he doesn't have integrity, but we're already rolling now. I don't want to go back to the other brother and say, this guy is incompetent. He failed me. So we keep pushing. Bro, he sends me to one lender, one credit union. They turn me down. After getting turned down from that credit union, and the reason like why they turned me down, right? Let me just speak to that a little bit. Out-of-state investor. They give preferential treatment to local people that are from Pittsburgh or have some type of investment in Pittsburgh. Didn't have a huge portfolio, huge track record, just had my triplex out here in LA. I'm out-of-state investor.
Yeah.
It's a little more risky, right? So they're like, we don't know if we want to lend on this guy. So they pass. After they pass me, I'm like, let's run let's shop around my deals to 2-3 credit unions at once because it's a time crunch. It takes a week and a half for these people to get back to me.
Right.
That's another thing, bro. In Pittsburgh, they move like snail mail. Everything is slow. And Miami, LA, New York, everything is like this. They moving quick at that pace. Out there is slow. So he's like, no, trust me. This one is going to be great. Listen to me. This one's going to close. They know. They believe me. Come back, they turn me down as well, bro. And I'm pissed at this point because I said, I told you. And I'm on his head top, and maybe I should practice better business practices or whatever. I don't know. I'm respectful, but at the same time, I turn up if it's my deal because it's my money on the line, right? My deal on the line, not his. And I got my EMD up, my earnest money deposit, my security deposit in the game. And this guy's playing games. And so he takes me to one more person and I beg him. I say, please, can you shop me to multiple people? And he refuses to. He says, no, this one is the final one. I'm going to get you this deal. I don't waste time talking to this guy, believing this guy. I go back to the brother, the idolets. So I go back to the idolets. The brother's super smooth. He says, I thought this would happen. I thought this might happen. So I'm cracking up. I'm like, what is he going to say? So then he says, I still got your file open. I still got your file right here. I'm about to pull it up. So he pulls it up, gets me the pre-approval within 3-4 days, bro. Gets the appraisal scheduled within 3-4 days after I get the approval. Send everything over to the seller because he's at this point, the seller's like, I'm not giving you guys any more extensions. Where's the pre-approval on these loans? On these properties. When is the appraisal happening? Like, I'm not negotiating with you. I'm not yielding. I'm not sending you no documents. I need you to move. I need action. So the brother comes through and saves me. The week passes. The other guy comes and says, I couldn't perform. I can't get you the loan. I can't help you.
For any of them, even the 6 unit?
So I think the 6 unit he gave me a great mortgage on the 6 unit. That was the first one, 5.75 ARM, 5-year ARM. So after 5 years, I have to like either refinance, sell, or I guess it's only refinance, sell, or pay the loan back, right? So that was great. That was like amazing, low rate. Because the rates were like at 7, and I got 5.75. So that was like incredible. And so he offered a mortgage on, I think, the triplex, the last triplex, but he couldn't do the duplex. And he promised me he was going to get somebody for the duplex, but he couldn't get the duplex. So I jumped ship and went to the brother. The brother, I was realizing, couldn't get the duplex either because he was quick to perform within a week and got everything. But that one, he was slow. He was like, man, I'm still looking. He's dragging his feet. And I said, oh, shoot, I'm going to have to figure something out. We were going to close. And the reason why was that I was really afraid because the guy had accused me whenever I was critical about one property in the portfolio, and it seemed like I didn't want to buy it, he would say, this guy's playing around. He's not serious. He doesn't want to buy the whole portfolio. If he doesn't buy everything, I'm canceling the deal. I'm walking away. And this guy has like 500 units. He's like a multimillionaire. So he could easily just walk away and just sit on it, right? He wasn't tripping.
He got more he want to sell?
Right? I need to, but see, the thing is, you have to have a good escrow experience and closing experience for people to want to work with you again.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best experience. I was novice going out of state, so I don't know if he would sell. But I can ask him. But anyway, so I had to go and get the cash credit line, bro, at the final hour, close with cash, no appraisal done.
Close with cash for the duplex?
Close with cash for the duplex.
Got you.
And
Okay.
then got the loan on all the other properties. So the how many do I have? 2 triplexes? What do I have? Duplex, triplex, and a 6 unit. I can't even keep up with them. But anyway, so the 2 properties appraised over value. So I think I had like 20 grand in equity on the 6 unit, and I think another 20 grand in equity on the triplex. And then the duplex, I didn't do an appraisal because it was like, what's the point? I'm closing in cash. Yeah, bro. So that was the fiasco dealing with the loans, man. It was a doozy. And you hear so much on social media, you hear so much on the podcast, and read so much in the books. But when you're dealing with live humans, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be creative. You have to reach into your Rolodex and reach into your network, and also be humble and say, hey, excuse my language, but I screwed up. I effed up. Please. I was like obsequious almost, like, please, like, accept me. You know what I mean? He's like, man, I got your file open, man. It's no problem. So it was love, man. He's from the South. His wife's from Dominican Republic, Afro Latina, and they show love to a young brother trying to get his thing started.
Yeah.
And he kept talking about, your deal is so small. I'm like, I'm putting up my 200 grand, man. This is hard earned. Hard earned, saved. Come on. You know what I mean? And so, anyway.
Definitely. So you close on the property. You have a property manager. Talk about how you found the property manager and how it's been going with the property manager. You know, you've been managing the property in LA on your own, and this is your first experience, presumably, with a property manager. Tell us about
What's
that.
your experience with property managers? In one sentence, bro.
It didn't work out. I'm on such a smaller scale, it's manageable.
Yeah, but it didn't work out. So I'm gonna try and be like brief but still informative, right? Because I know we're short on time. But I manage my own triplex in LA. I can pull up to it. My tenants, older black tenant, like my grandmother's age, younger sister, I think in her late 30s, early 40s. They know me. It's cool, bro. Like they pay on time. I've never had any real serious issues with them. And they know I'll pull up if I need to, right? If I need to handle anything. With this property manager, I found him because I know a brother. I met a young brother who owns 20 units out there. Wow. And he's a software engineer in Atlanta, a brother from the South. And so
you got to introduce me to him.
Yeah. He get on the podcast, bro. So he has I think like $7,000, $8,000 in cash flow at this point.
Net
cash flow.
No way.
After all expenses. Yes way. And so he was at early retirement. My goal is like $8,500 a month. And so now I'm like at like 40. Once I stabilize everything, it'll be like at 4,500, including my like LA stuff. So I'm like halfway there. But anyway, so I meet him. He's like, I have a property manager out there, and he has properties in the same suburb kind of area that I have, right? It's called McKees Rocks in Pittsburgh. And so he's like, I work with this property manager. So when I flew out there, I met him in person. Dude's a straight shooter. He's cool. I don't want to get political, but dude's like a Trump supporter. He's talking about black people, but in a way that's like, he's like asking questions. He's like, what do you think about these guys who sag their pants and these guys who wear chains? I said, man, I got a chain. There's nothing wrong with chains. You know what I mean? I'm like talking to him straight. We just having a back and forth conversation. He's like, okay, all right, I guess I understand, but I just didn't understand the jewelry and this and that. I'm like, it's from a different time, man. It's a different culture. That's why you don't understand it. So I'm like, let me work with this guy, right? So we start working together, man. And I realized that he's mismanaging the property. And people say, what do you mean by that? Just mismanaging the property. What property managers can do, I'm trying to be short but still holistic.
No, good.
Property managers, man, they are kind of in the weeds, bro. We talked about this. They're doing the grunt work, the dirty work, unclogging toilets, doing extermination, sending people out for extermination, rats, roaches, collecting rents, evicting people, banging on doors, putting notices. They don't see the bigger vision. as real estate investors, for people who are listening to this, brothers, sisters, men, women who are listening to this, you have to have an asset management plan, a business plan for each one of your properties. Asset management is different from property management. The property managers have, they're in the weeds. They don't see the forest for the they're looking at the trees, individual trees. So they make money off of each unit, but also some of them defraud you. If you're out of state, right, they think money signs, dollar signs. They see a young guy saying, I'm buying that building, this building, that building. They start calculating how much money you putting down. They like, this dude's kicking. Look at him. He got the collar shirt, nice watch on the podcast. I worked hard for this shirt, worked hard for this watch, right? So what they can do is they can falsify invoices, they can falsify maintenance reports, they can falsify records. And so people say, "Oh, how do you prove that? How do you know?" I'm at UCLA right now getting my MBA, and there was a big development company that builds huge multifamily properties here in LA, Brentwood, Koreatown, all over. He used a big reputable, the president and founder of the company was there speaking in class at the real estate class. He used a huge and reputable property management company that he's in a litigation case with now, because they had a plumbing issue at the property and they need to replace a motor. It was $5,000 to replace it. They had the invoice, they had the letterhead from the company that they used, the dollar amounts, all that, right? But he was suspicious of it. He's like, this seems strange. So he called the property under the guise of, I'm an owner of another property. Sorry, called the plumbing company saying that I'm an owner of another property down the street or a different part of the city. I need this type of work done. It was the exact same thing. They said, that'd be $1,600. I just did this at another building, and it was his building. And I charged him $1,600. So the reputable big property, one of the biggest ones in LA, stole $3,600 from this man, falsified the records, and now he does his own property management all in-house.
Yeah.
How much money have they been stealing from people all over the city? How much money have they been stealing from him? And so what I noticed was all these repairs started coming up.
Once you bought the property?
As soon as I closed.
Yeah.
Keep your reserves. I had a year's worth of capital expenditures and maintenance repairs expenses in a bank account for each property, right? So I had money put aside. So that's why it's like so important to be conservative with your numbers, because it could come up. The roof comes in, right? That was a legitimate concern. I told him, I need to see you on FaceTime. If you have a property manager, make sure that they get on FaceTime or they have FaceTime, and the contractors have FaceTime. Because if anything goes wrong and they claim that they're doing work, you want to see it on FaceTime. Sometimes they'll take a picture of the corner and say it's done, and the rest of it's not done. I need more money. And all you see is a picture. So you get on FaceTime, they start painting, it's wood. It's just nothing's done. No paint, nothing. They just painted the corner and replaced one little part, right? So I get on FaceTime, and the ceiling that I had fallen through, it was real.
Wow.
And the tenant was like, this happened and this and that. So I said, cool, pay for it. Pay for it, no problem. But the stove went out. The sink need to be replaced. This need to be replaced. That needs to be replaced. He sends pictures of the receipts, but you could buy something that's expensive and turn around and take it right back and pocket the money and buy something less expensive, right? I see this guy going to Lowe's buying the top-notch sinks for $200 for the rental. I'm like, go to the local hardware store. Go to Home Depot. Why are you buying the best damn sinks that exist? He doesn't know. I go to Lowe's. I see the price of these things. I know the price of the supplies and the labor, because I'm out here doing stuff in LA. So the sinks in Lowe's, on the high end are $187 out here in LA, in Inglewood.
Yeah.
So what you doing spending $200 on a medium income, base rental, getting the best type of sinks? He's like, oh yeah, you're right. I have to talk to him about that. But he didn't think I would review in detail what type of sink it is, where he's buying it from, all of that, right? So you have to double check these people. And a mechanism that I put in play is, hey, look, don't just send me the maintenance request, because he sends me all the updates. Some of the ones he was doing maintenance requests and they were coming up on the bills, but he never sent the email, the report. So he spent $200 here, $150 here at this property, that property. I never got the maintenance report. What happened? Oh, sorry about that. I didn't send that. That was a glitch for the system. It's supposed to be automated, bro. I need everything. Another thing was I said, anything over $100, anything under $100, you can do it without my approval. Send me the invoice. Still send me the maintenance request, but I'm not gonna approve it. Anything a penny over $100, I need you to get approved. It has to come across my desk, and you have to approve it. I'm scrutinizing everything. I'm not wealthy. You know what I mean? I'm building wealth, but don't think of me as dollar signs. I'm a mom and pop landlord, minus the mom. I'm looking for the mom, ladies. No, I'm kidding.
You're not kidding.
I'm a pop landlord. I'm a pop landlord. You won't even have to work. You could live rent free, sisters. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's work optional around here. If you want to work, you can work. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So anyway, I tell him I'm a pop landlord, man. And so I kind of plant the seed in his mind. I'm not the guy to be defrauded.
Right.
One, I'm checking invoices. I'm calling people. I'm pulling cars, and I may just pull up. I told him I may just pull up. I may just catch a flight. And so now another thing was he didn't want to get on calls. He wants to only do emails, which is insane. I want to get on weekly calls, steer this ship, and stabilize this asset. He said, I got people from Sweden. I got people from Australia, all these real estate investors for decades. They're okay with. I said, hold on. This is my property. I don't give a damn about what these. He's a straight shooter. I like that, so I can talk to him a little bit more aggressively. I don't give a damn about what these other people are doing with their properties. It has nothing to do with me. That's irrelevant, bro. You can give me like tips or whatever, but how they run their ship is irrelevant. Ship, I said, is irrelevant. We're doing it this way. Once it's stabilized, I said, I don't want to talk to you. You think I like talking to you? You think I like the sound of your voice? I don't care about this. I don't want to talk to you, bro. I want this to be passive. But it's not necessarily working right now. Once we get everything stabilized and it's working, then cool. We can go back and forth on emails. Shoot. We can go back and forth on emails. So just briefly, man, and I'll wrap it up. I know we run out of time now. You got to close, but Section 8 hadn't transferred over yet. And so I missed Section 8 from December. I missed Section 8 from January. And then I just got all my Section 8 money from December, January, and February 1st. Today's February 4th upon this recording. So I'm hot. I'm like, I'm not getting my Section 8 money. Tenants are paying late. You haven't served notices. I'm asking to do rent increases. All these maintenance. He wasn't responding to the emails. He claimed he loves emails. Dude's not even responding to the emails. I'm like, bro, we getting on a call every week, 9 o'clock in the morning, every Friday. And so I just had, today's Saturday, so I had a call yesterday. Everything's getting in order, everything's in line, and he ain't making no more money off the repairs, the maintenance, and the capital expenditures. But I haven't proved it, man. I didn't prove that he defrauded me. I can't prove that. But I told that story about the Brody Group. Probably shouldn't say their name, but the Brody Group is a development company out here in LA. At that level, if they're doing fraud, they're defrauding people, you better be certain that they're frauding people at the smaller level. So be vigilant, create those caps on the maintenance, have the weekly calls, check-ins. As things get smoother, you can say I'll do every 2 weeks. And yeah, they give the invoices. Yeah, they give the maintenance requests. Yeah, they show the writing of the tenant, and tenant said, I'm gonna call that health department if you don't do this or you don't do that. So yeah, it's proof that they're getting the requests, but they can still fraud you. They can still defraud you. So keep that in mind, and keep your reserves. You need reserves, 3 months of mortgage payments, and reserves, 6 months to a year is even better. And then your maintenance, you got to have those reserves, bro, because a lot of stuff happened. And some of the tenants weren't paying their mortgage when I first closed, because of certain hardships, and I had money in reserve, and so you gotta have monies in reserves, and realize that you may not cash flow that first year. You may spend time stabilizing the asset, adding value, painting it, raising rents, within reason, offering more amenities, raising rents. So see the asset in year 2, see the asset in year 3, see the asset in year 4, because if you plan on holding it during that period, you have to analyze it over that period. Right. Don't just look at it in year 1, because you'll walk away from so many deals. And I did that early on. I was analyzing all these deals. In year 1, it wasn't cash flowing 20% cash on cash return. I'm walking past these deals, not realizing, wait, I can lower the expenses. I can increase the rents. Right. I can manipulate this.
Right.
I'm an asset manager. Don't look at it as it is 2-dimensional. Look at it 3-dimensional as a real estate investor. So that's my spiel, man.
Right. One last thing before we wrap.
We
I gotta ask this. So
Oh shoot.
we were talking and you mentioned that you don't do exterminations if the tenant has the place already a mess.
You put me on blast,
Let's
man.
talk about that.
Okay, I'm not a slumlord. My tenants, if you interview my tenants, they won't say I'm a slumlord. Okay, so this is my philosophy. Y'all can call me a slumlord or not. I don't know what your take is on it. Maybe we can talk about the take when we close, but this is it. If my tenants have roaches, I'll pay for extermination services. Those are different. You could be clean and roaches can come from your neighbor. They're different, right? If it's a nuclear bomb goes off, these things will still be around. But if my tenants have rats or mice and you go into their house and it looks like a hoarder's house, there's literally food on the floor, clothes, underwear, like that attracts them, places for them to hide, I do not pay for extermination services. I tell them you need to clean the house, clean the apartment, and then that'll go away. And my philosophy, my reasoning is, and my logic is, if I pay for the extermination services, the food is still going to be there. They're going to work their way in. They're going to come back. Look what's happening in New York. They're formidable. They're not going to just go away. But if you're clean and somehow there's a rat, like there's a tenant here in Inglewood, she had a rat that got in because my gardeners weren't picking up the grapefruits and the oranges. I have some trees and they're delicious, really sweet. So the rats were attracted to it and they say, hey, what's in the house next to the grapefruits and the oranges? So then they ate that. Then they went to the house. Size of a size 12 shoe, bro. Huge rat. He was eating the Jordans in the house, on the counter, eating the bread, through the bread. And I paid for extermination services. But the tenant right next door to her has had mice and rats for the whole time I've owned the property. I go in, it's filthy. It's stuff all over the place. When I lived there, when I was house hacking, living next to her, I never had a roach or a mouse or nothing. No problems, ants, nothing. No issues. At the Pittsburgh property, there's one tenant, and I walked her unit. I was there twice. I saw her unit. Filthy, bro, on the bottom floor. And there's a black couple, young couple next to her. Real clean, nice house. I asked them, do you have any issues with mice, rats? No issue. And she's like, it's because I'm by the dumpster and I'm on the first level. I said, it's not because of the Doritos that are on the floor in the bag, the trash cans that are overflowing. So I don't know what other landlords or other owners say, but I do not pay for the extermination services unless it becomes a public health issue, unless it becomes a health hazard, stuff like that. People getting sick or, disease and the public health department's telling me, okay, you need to do it. Section 8 is telling me you need to do it. I'll do it because we just did another unit, the upstairs unit that had some mice and they're dirty as well. Section 8 required us to do it, and so I did it. But that's one of my hard stances, bro. I love my tenants. I grew up on Section 8 my whole life. I'm not a slumlord, but if you're gonna be dirty, I'm not paying for no rats to be removed because they're just gonna come back. So that's my take, bro.
Got you, man. We'll see. We'll let the public decide.
They're gonna drag me.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Part 2. I'm looking forward to part 3, man, and just seeing you succeed. So definitely appreciate you jumping on and let the people know where they could find you, where they could follow you.
I want to give a prophecy first. The part 3 is gonna be me raising capital and buying multifamily syndicating. That's gonna be the part 3. But find me. Instagram, living rent free, no G, LIVIN, rent free. LinkedIn, Mark Jones II, Mark Jones II, for those professional people that want to see, my pedigree and all that. So they can, you can come here. You wanna scope and see how I'm doing and stuff. So you can follow me there. And where else? Twitter, living rent free as well, but with an underscore at the end. I get a little more wild on Twitter. Because Elon runs that. So I've been trying to pull it back this year, rein it in this year. But find me there, and that's it. I mean, markjonesii.com as well for people who want to work with me as a real estate agent here and get some investments. But I'm not paying for no extermination, so don't even think about it.
Love it. Thank you all again for listening to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, 5-star rating if you're on audio, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.